The hour is a little past noon. We will call the second meeting of the House Banking and Insurance Committee to order for this session. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All.
Here.
Representative Bentley. Yes, ma'am. Representative Bray. Representative Duval.
Here.
Representative Frazier Gordon. Yes. Representative Gooch. Representative Justice.
Here.
Representative Lewis.
Here.
Representative McPherson.
Here.
Representative Works.
Here.
Representative Roberts. Representative Smith.
Here.
Representative Stevenson.
Here.
Vice Chair Lockett.
Here.
Vice Chair Pollock.
Here.
Chairman Meredith.
Yes, ma'am. We do have a quorum and are duly constituted to do business. I do have two members that would like to introduce guests. Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to introduce Brody Brown from my area in Corbin. He's come to spend the day with. I'm trying to take a few minutes. He's talking about being a lawyer, so we're working on that. But yeah, we're in discussions. But anyway, I'd like for the committee to welcome him here today. Hey, Tom, send him my way. Send him your way.
Representative All, I think you've got a guest too.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have with me today my legislative shadow intern page for the day, Leah Rose. Leah is 14 years old in Lexington. She goes to St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church there in Lexington. And her parents are both involved in healthcare, so she's very interested in the insurance pieces of this committee, and we're excited to have her with us today if you can make her feel welcome.
And Representative Justice, I think you've got a guest as well.
Thank you, Chairman Meredith. This is actually my nephew. He's from Shelby County, Simpsonville area. He's been in this room before for KYA, and he's interested in politics, so he's up here to see us today. So let's make him feel welcome. Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, we will move on to the agenda before us. With this time, we'd like to call House Bill 220. Representative Neighbors, if you would come to the table, introduce yourself for the record and your guests, and then you may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Amy Neighbors, and I represent the 21st House District, and I do have a couple of guests here with me today, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
I'm Laura Owens, Legislative Agent for Association of Accessible Medicine.
And I think you all have somebody on Zoom as well. If she would just recognize herself and introduce herself for the record.
Hi there. My name is Ashley Van Meter, and I am with the Association for Accessible Medicines. We represent generic industry and also biosimilar industry.
Very good. Representative Neighbors, please proceed.
We do have a committee sub today.
Got a motion on the substitute from Representative Bray, second from Representative Lewis. I know some of the members may want to hear a little bit about what the difference in the sub and the original bill is before we move forward. So
Sure.
if you tell just a little bit of the
So
difference
the committee
between the two.
sub is simply a formatting change to add clarity. It puts each drug type in its own subsection rather than listing them all in one sentence. So upon making this change, there has been no opposition to this bill.
All right, I do have a motion and second. Any questions about the sub before we take that vote? All in favor of adopting the sub, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The sub is before us.
Okay. So House Bill 220 makes one change to the 2022 step therapy bill, which was Senate Bill 140. That bill unanimously passed the House 95-0 and the Senate 35-0 that session. Senate Bill 140 established the type of drugs that could be included in step therapy protocol. Step therapy means that a patient can be required to try a lower cost prescription drug that treats a given condition before stepping up to a similar acting but more expensive drug. House Bill 220 simply adds one additional drug type to the current legislation, biosimilars. Biosimilar products are versions of brand name drugs that may offer more affordable treatment options to patients. Biosimilars are safe and effective and are FDA approved. There must be no differences in the safety and effectiveness between biosimilars and the original biologics. In 2022, generics and biosimilars produced $2.5 billion in Medicare savings in Kentucky. with an average of approximately $3,300 in savings per Medicare enrollee. Encouraging the use of lower-cost medicines is a critical tool to manage spending within states with populations suffering from chronic and complex conditions.
Got a motion from Representative Pollock, a second from Representative Bray. I do have a question from Representative All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great bill. I appreciate your collaborative approach. We spoke earlier, and I understand this is a compromise that a lot of stakeholders have been involved in, and I think that's wonderful in a way. A lot of legislation needs to pass up here. I do have one clarifying question statement I want to get on the record because of the LRC summary of the bill. The LRC summary of the bill says to permit insurers to require insured to try biosimilar biological products prior to providing coverage for the equivalent branded prescription drugs under certain circumstances. That burden, as I understand it in our conversation, is not really on the insured or the person. It's really on the medical professional, the physician, when they're writing the prescription or doing their note for what they need to make sure that circumstance applies. So it's really not a burden on the individual. Is that correct?
Exactly, that is correct.
Okay. I just wanted to get that clarification on the record because of the LRC summary of the bill. So thank you very much.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All.
Say yes.
Representative Bentley. Oh, sorry. Representative Bentley.
Yes.
Representative Bray.
Yes.
Representative Duval.
Yes.
Representative Frazier Gordon. Yes. Representative Gooch.
Yes.
Representative Justice. Yes. Representative Lewis.
Yes.
Representative Lockett.
Yes.
Representative McPherson.
Yes.
Representative Pollock.
Yes.
Representative Rorix.
Yes.
Representative Roberts. Representative Smith.
Yes.
Representative Stevenson. Yes. Chairman Meredith.
Yes, ma'am. House Bill 220 is amended by the House Committee Substitute, does pass with favorable expression. We do have to get a title amendment on this one, though. Got a motion on the title amendment from Representative Bray, second Representative Frazier Gordon. All in favor of adopting the title amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've adopted the title. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Mr.
Next bill that we'll have before us is House Bill 256. Representative Pollock, if you and your guests would come to the table. Introduce yourselves for the record, and then please proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Michael Sarge Pollock, State Representative, District 51. Guests, please introduce yourselves.
Anne Marie Franklin, Kentucky Farm Bureau.
Julie Shaw Woodard, Smart Home America.
Dustin Miller, retained legislative agent for State Farm.
I think you all also have someone on for potential questions, so if he would just introduce himself for the record as well.
Good morning. Michael Newman with the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety.
Very good. Representative Pollock, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Committee. House Bill 256, the Strengthening Kentucky Homes Act, is about the insurance industry helping Kentuckians before the storm hits. Mr. Chair, there is a committee sub.
Got a motion on sub, Representative Bray, second, Representative McPherson. Tell us a little bit about the differences in the sub and the original bill, please.
Explanation, basically in the sub has 2 points. One, makes sure the discount in Section 2 is filed like all discounts. And then number 2 point in the committee sub is it takes care of the manufacturing, institution, housing language. So those are the two things. It's kind of clean up a little bit there on those 2 points. So that's what the committee sub does.
Any questions before we take the vote on the sub? Having a motion and second, all in favor of adopting the sub, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The sub is before us. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Over the past 3 years, Kentuckians have experienced significant natural disasters here in the state of Kentucky. Tornadoes, flood. March 3rd of last year, 70-mile-an-hour winds, resulting in thousands of insurance claims to repair damaged homes, but also loss of economic activity, and in some extreme cases, injuries and loss of life. Other states, many on the coast, have begun to build their housing stocks to a standard meant to withstand these severe weather events. The Insurance Institution for Building and Home Safety, after a decade of research, has developed fortified building standards that deploys defensive construction techniques to protect against severe weather. What this bill does is basically establish a Strengthening Kentucky Homes program, a grant program funded out of the Department of Insurance restricted funds for homeowners to defray the cost of fortified roof and for contractors to get the certifications. It also requires a mandatory discount on insurance premiums for homes with fortified roofs. And then the third thing it does, this bill basically requires insurers to offer a fortified roof endorsement. So,
restate that. I didn't have my mic on. Motion, Representative Lewis. A second, Representative Bray. I do have a question from Representative Lockett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a quick question for you, Mr. Sponsor. I am very curious as to exactly what a fortified roof is. Can you go into more detail about what that entails?
yes, sir. Thank you for the question. And since my expert here on the panel has flew in to answer this specific question, I'll turn that over to my expert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Be sure you ask that question on the floor when he doesn't have an expert with him, Representative Lockett.
So the difference between a roof that's going on every day here in Kentucky and a fortified roof is very simple. It's just a change in the way that things are applied, and it's also a ceiling or a second water barrier to the decking. So I'm not going to go too far into the weeds, but everybody knows on your roof you've got decking, sheets of plywood or OSB. There's a space between that decking that has to be there because it has to be able to contract and expand with heat. When shingle loss is experienced in 70-mile-an-hour winds and there's a rain event at the same time, that water pours in between that crack and it amplifies the damage that that structure would have seen had that water stayed out. So fortified puts a secondary water barrier, or basically it just keeps the water out of the crack between the two pieces of wood. And so it can get there a myriad of ways. There are no restrictions on materials as long as the labeling on that material that's on your Home Depot, Lowe's, local supply houses has the testing for the wind zone that that house or that business is sitting in. If it meets that, then that product can be used. So there's not a product restriction on that. And then it really honestly just has the roofer actually follow the manufacturer's directions on the packet of the product they're using so that it's installed the way it's supposed to, so it performs to the level it's supposed to.
Just a quick follow-up. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess that would lead me to the next question. Why do we not already do this? I mean, it seems to me like why is this a special program, and why don't all roofs already have this type of coverage?
You have many builders and roofers in your state that do that next best thing. They're not required to, but they just do it. It's not historically been part of code. The 2018 and 2021 International Residential Code brings in the sealed roof deck, but code can be amended and modified when it's adopted. So it's just not consistent across the United States.
Thank you.
Representative McPherson.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So we heard, I think, in the interim, and stay with me if you will, that I think the age life method of roofing is now going to change based on the experience we had this year, and maybe after 7 years, then we're going to have to go to, if this is adopted or if this roof is certified for that, how does that change that, or is that a possibility of changing that in insurance look at, or is it certified different?
Go ahead.
I was asking Dave. Will it stay the same? You come answer it. Come answer.
Introduce yourself.
We have a pinch hitter coming in.
Pinch hitter.
Can you please identify yourself for the record?
It's my expert, Chairman.
Everybody's got an expert.
Yes, my name's Dave Rose with Kentucky Farm Bureau. I'm the property manager. Sorry, if you could repeat the question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we heard in the interim this year, I think after this, that the age life method of depreciating a roof was going to be different now, or going to trend into different for insurance purposes in the future. If you have this certified roof and bill to this, and I heard this bill says that it requires some discounting for insurance, how does this affect that depreciation of your roof?
It's going to be based on the roof materials. So it's going to be like the roof covering. So it really won't change the depreciation per se, but we would go back with the exact same materials that were on the roof if it were a fortified roof.
So if I may follow up.
Go ahead.
So the discounting, where does that discounting come in the insurance? So how does it save the consumer money?
So because the insurance industry backs the science, they understand what their risk loss is, and they understand what that reduction in risk is. And it has a third-party validation on it. So there's a certificate that is renewed every 5 years, which gives the insurance industry that confidence. So they will continue to renew that property insurance with that, and they'll continue to honor that discount. There will be a point longer than what we're seeing now where that roof will have to be redone, because asphalt shingle products do have to be redone at a certain point. But once it's redone, and as long as it's meeting that standard, so there's always going to be that third party making sure it's meeting that standard, then it can still be written at that reduced rate.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Representative Bray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it sounds like the fortified system is kind of like the zip system, right? You put the waterproof tape or an underlayment.
The zip system does meet the fortified standard.
Okay. So actually just installed one of those personally. So going back, if I understand this correctly, it has to be somebody certified that's gone through the program. So we're talking about new roofs or as they're replaced.
Correct.
All right. Just want to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Any other members have questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All.
Yes.
Representative Bentley. Yes. Representative Bray. Yes. Representative Duval.
Yes.
Representative Frazier Gordon. Yes. Representative Gooch. Yes. Representative Justice.
Yes.
Representative Lewis.
Yes.
Representative Lockett.
Yes.
Representative McPherson.
Yes.
Representative Pollock.
Yes.
Representative Rorks.
Yes.
Representative Roberts.
Yes, and if I may register my attendance and also my yes vote on 220, please. Thank you.
Representative Smith. Yes. Representative Stevenson. Yes. Chairman Meredith.
Yes, ma'am. House Bill 256 is amended by the House Committee Substitute does pass with favorable expression. Same should on the House floor.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I want to personally thank Commissioner Sharon Clark, Department of Insurance, for stepping up. As you can see throughout the bill, that she's going to be regulating and administering this whole process on this certification. So I just want to publicly say thank you, Commissioner Sharon Clark.
I would like to add an editorial note to this, that this bill will likely go on and be flagged to go to the A&R committee as well, but this is the first step in that process. So,
thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
Yes. Then House Bill 371, Representative Williams, if you would approach, introduce yourself and any guests that you have for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, my name is Wade Williams, Kentucky Legislative Representative, District 4.
Please proceed.
I think we have a committee sub.
Got a motion on the sub from Representative Bray, a second from Representative Frazier Gordon. If you'd tell us just a little bit about what the difference in the original bill and the sub is, we'd appreciate that.
The committee sub is just an add-on paragraph that requires the Department of Insurance to put in a regulation of notification to the insurance companies of those, whatever those rate increase or decrease may be.
We've got a motion and a second on the sub. Are there any questions about the sub before we adopt it? Seeing none. All in favor of adopting the sub, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The sub is before us. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So House Bill 371 arose from a constituent of mine who whose house was sitting on an old mine work, and this old mine works subsided to the point of about 16 inches, and he was a total loss for his house. Going back in the historical part of this is that the General Assembly established a fund, mine subsidy fund, with seed money, and that fund is funded through premiums through people that are affected in these designated areas. And this doesn't cover the entire state of Kentucky. It's only about 50 different counties now, and judge executives have to actually opt in to be able to offer this, totally optional. So instead of going back, when we started this fund in 1994, it was $50,000 was the max cap that we could do this on. And from there, it went to $100,000 about in 1998. It went to $200,000, and then now in 2010 was the latest upgrade, and it was at $300,000. Those of you who build a home lately, you know that those rates have not kept pace with that. So what this bill does basically is to update that amount. And in Section 1, it raises the limits of expenses, living expenses, from $25,000 to $50,000. And also in Section 1, instead of the $300,000 technical number, it will be administered now by the Department of Insurance and their property and casualty actuary, and it'll be based on the fund's health and the capacity of what they have out.
Got a motion on the bill, Representative Bray, and a second from Representative Pollock. Before we proceed with a vote, does any member have a question? Representative Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, it's not really a question, but a comment. I think it was actually 1984 when this was originally established. At the time, I was in the insurance business. My father had contacted a state senator from Hopkins County by the name of Ken Gibson.
Yeah.
And he's the one that actually sponsored the bill and got this in action. And of course, I was here when we raised it to, I think it was 50,000, and then we raised it to 100 later, and then, as you said, 250 or whatever. But I just wanted to say that it's great that another Hopkins County representative is bringing this change, and so just a little background for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
We appreciate the history on that, Representative Gooch. You got a broader breadth of that than I do. There's not many of them to do anymore. Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All?
Yes.
Representative Bentley? Yes. Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Duval?
Yes.
Representative Fraser Gordon?
Yes.
Representative Gooch?
Yes.
Representative Justice? Representative Lewis?
Yes.
Representative Lockett?
Yes.
Representative McPherson?
Yes.
Representative Pollock?
Yes.
Representative Rorix?
Yes.
Representative Roberts?
Yes.
Representative Smith? Representative Stevenson? Chairman Meredith?
Yes, ma'am. House Bill 371 does pass with favorable expression as amended by the committee substitute. Same should on the House floor. Thank you, Representative Williams. That does bring us to the end of our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee.
Representative Justice,
I was in deep conversation with Representative Smith.
you want to register a vote on
I'm
that?
a yes on that last one.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion from Representative Lockett, a second from Rep. Bentley? Or you have a question, Representative Bentley? All right. We'll get you on the record for seconding that one. All in favor of